Dr. Rosemée Said Vulcain. Dr. Said is a family medicine specialist in North Miami and a diplomat of the American Board of Family Medicine. After graduating from the Université d'État d'Haïti, Faculté de Médecine et de Pharmacie, in 1992, Dr. Said worked as a clinician in her home country, Haiti. She then immigrated to South Florida and completed her residency training in family medicine at the University of Miami Jackson Memorial Hospital from 1998 to 2001. During her residency, her outstanding skills and performance awarded her many recognitions. Dr. Said received the Women's Health Award and the Resident Teacher Award. Dr. Said then worked as a full-time family physician for over 20 years and served for 13 years as a medical director at the same health center in North Miami. She oversaw nurse practitioners, physician assistants, and staff during her tenure. She expanded her skills and knowledge in family medicine. Her long-standing commitment naturally set the stage for her successfully opening her own health center. Proud of her Haitian roots, she cares for her large Haitian population. Yet she also prides herself in providing health care to the multicultural community that makes the fabric of South Florida, as she speaks fluently English, Spanish, Haitian Creole, and French. Dr. Said loves making a difference in her patients' lives and serving a multi-generational population. Hi, everyone. So I am here currently with the amazing Wuzmi Seed, who's a physician in the North Miami area, and she's originally from Haiti. And she actually obtained her degree in Haiti, then moved to South Florida and pursued and continued her path to medicine, where she had made such a name for herself within the North Miami area and recently built her own practice. So without further ado, I want to introduce Wuzmi, and I will allow you to actually talk a little bit more about your background, who you are, people get to know you a little bit better. Wuzmi, the mic is yours.
All right. Hi, Rachel. Such a pleasure to be your guest, an honor. So I'm really happy. I have to tell you, it's the first time that I do it like that. um, as Rachel said, I'm Dr. Rosemée Said, and I'm Haitian, born and raised in Haiti, and I studied medicine in Haiti also. I'm the third generation of doctors in my family. My father's uncle was a physician. My father is a physician who's still practicing part-time in Haiti. And me, I studied in Haiti, did my residency training at Jackson Memorial Hospital. I did first my social residency in Haiti at Hospital Albert Schweitzer in the Artibonite area. Then I came here to do my residency training at Jackson Memorial Hospital. I trained in family medicine and I finished in 2001 and started working. I kept my position at the clinic I was working for 20 years. And after 20 years, I took a leap of faith and opened up my own practice because my son is going to be the fourth generation of physician in my family, and I wanted not only to be able to leave a legacy, but also it came at the time of COVID. There was so much inequality in the delivery of care that I felt that I could make a difference for my community in the North Miami Beach area. I'm also a mother of four. I'm a wife. I'm a traveler. I love traveling. Um, I love my sports too. I play tennis and I love photography. So I'm a regular person who likes a lot of things and who dared after 20 years break, a ceiling that they had decided for myself and decided that I wanted to explore new heights.
Awesome. That's amazing. You are definitely an inspiration for many and right person to have this interview with because, as you know, this is a Caribbean Women Empowerment Summit. And we are empowering others to really be able to aspire to do the same. So thank you so much. And without further ado, let's get into the nitty gritty of this interview. So we're talking about
this is the International Women's Month, and the International Women Association came up with their theme for the year, and it talks about breaking gender bias. And that's really the topic we're going to delve into. We're going to have a conversation about it, and would love to have your insight in terms of how do you define gender bias?
Well, before even defining it, to tell you how important that subject is, do you know that in 2020, the United Nations, they conducted, a study, and the result of the study was that almost 90% of people have some type of bias against women. Can you imagine?
Wow, that's
Okay, so even women towards other women. Can you imagine? So it's a subject of real importance. And, gender bias is how they favor one gender over another. But the people who have really suffered the most from gender bias are women and girls. We are the ones that they have biases against the most. And in the medical field, in the healthcare field, I can say it manifests in so many ways that can impact on so many things. So this is what it really is. It's favoring one gender over another. And it can be something as simple as, even, for example, a male physician seeing a male patient versus a woman patient who both have pain. If a man patient comes and says that I've been having chronic pain, you know, it's very common that the male physician thinks about this patient as, wow, he's brave, stoic. He's brave and stoic for having been dealing with that pain for so long. A woman patient comes complaining of the same pain, and the man physician will think about her as, wow, she's emotional, and she's just exaggerating the pain. It's just to tell you how the bias is everywhere, and people sometimes don't realize that they have these biases, but the biases can be all conscious or unconscious, and that's why you have 90% people having these types of biases.
And it's interesting that you're saying that, because a lot of us, like you said, we're conditioned. So many, it's that generational
Mhm.
of a mindset that's built from generation to generation. So it's very hard to like go from one spectrum to the next within a short period of time. So which leads me to the next question, because you said a lot. You also talked about in the health field and in healthcare as a whole, how even patients, how they interact with their um, physician based on gender, and then the healthcare provider as a whole. So have you, now that you mentioned that, have you experienced in your journey, in your career, would you be, have you thought at all where you have experienced such bias in the past or currently?
Yes. Um, the first time that I felt it was when I finished my residency training at Jackson Memorial, and it was time for me to decide where I was going to work. And I had an interview for a position, and I have to tell you that that position, a friend of mine who's a male physician had interviewed for that same position 3 years prior than me. The salary that they offered me at that time was 15,000 per year less than what they had offered to my male friend 3 years prior. So can you imagine, 3 years before, despite increase of cost of living, despite all these things, the same position was offered to him $15,000 more than what was offered to me. It's just to tell you that I already knew that, wow, there is a bias. It's like you do the same job, you have to do more to get the respect, and you don't always get paid what you're supposed to be paid. So I knew from the beginning that there was that. And of course, I had heard other female physicians complain about that too. So, right from the beginning, I already had experienced it just in a job offer.
And how did you address it, or did you address it at
Um,
the time? Were you equipped at that time to be able to have the foresight to address
and
it?
and I'm happy that you asking me this question, because where I am right now is not where I was 21 years ago. And I did not address it. I did not address it because, culturally speaking, also, and with the education that I had received, it had become a problem for me to address something like that. Because in Haiti, you're not really raised by your parents to discuss money, to discuss your worth. And I was raised at a Catholic school also with the nuns, and it was taught to us that you're not supposed to really address money. It's not very polite, etc., etc. So unfortunately, at that time, I was coming with my cultural background and my education, and had felt that I could not address that, because talking about money was always a no no, supposedly. And it did not serve me well throughout the years, until I realized, it's not that I had not realized, but it took me time
Yes.
to realize that where we're living right now, if you cannot advocate for yourself, how do you think somebody else is going to advocate for you?
Yes.
So I realized that I knew my worth, but if I was not in a position, like if I didn't allow myself to impose who I was,
Mhm.
and to, you know, put it down on paper or in wording what I'm expecting,
Mhm.
it was always going to continue the same way. Because if you cannot advocate for yourself, it's going to be the status quo, because people take advantage. You don't talk, you don't ask, it's because you don't want, you don't need.
Yes. Wow. So, you said, talk about the cultural background and growing up in Haiti and how you were taught at home and also in the school, which also, without realizing, there's a gender piece that comes in as well, I'm sure, because, that within our culture, having been being Haitian as well, there's an underlayer piece that comes in as a woman, which you're actually allowed or not allowed, or expected or not expected to do, which
But
interestingly, no.
most cultures,
Mhm.
they favor
Yeah.
men.
That's that
Exactly. So
exactly.
I talk about mine being Haitian because of the way I was raised,
Mhm.
but most they favor men being able to discuss certain things as opposed to women.
That is true.
And it took me time to break out of the mold.
So, so you said you have children, right? So you have four, right? You
I
said.
have 4 children, and I just became a grandmother.
That's congratulations. So you mentioned your son. So you have
I
two.
have 2 daughters and 2 sons. My oldest, she's a major of the American Army, and she's based right now in Kuwait, where she's serving a year. She comes back in June, so we can't wait to see her again. And she also has a master's in international business.
Beautiful.
My second, she's a lawyer, and she lives in San Francisco, and she's the one who just made us, she promoted my husband and I to grandparents.
Status. Okay.
And then my third, it's a he, so he's studying medicine. He's studying his third year of medical school
Yeah, beautiful.
next month. And my fourth one, he's done with college, he's studying to take the MCAT because he wants to
Um,
pursue medicine also. Yes.
That's beautiful. So now that you have had these experiences, right? And now you're saying 21 years later, who you are today, it's different from how you were then. Now, having raised 4 children, how different was it in terms of raising the kids based on what you have experienced in relating to gender?
Um, what can I say? I'm happy that I went through the journey.
Got it.
I don't think that, I don't have any regrets because during these 20 years, I had time to raise my children, to travel, to do a lot of the things that I wanted to. In 20 years, I also learned that if you want something to change, you got to be the agent yourself,
Mm-hmm.
in the sense that you need to recognize when your time has arrived.
Yes.
You need to value yourself for who you are, what you are worth, and what you have to offer. And you need to not allow anybody to not let you dream big, because comfort zones are where your dreams go to die.
That's true.
So you gotta be uncomfortable for bigger things to happen. And I have learned to accept it,
Mm-hmm.
to embrace it, because nobody said it was going to be easy, but all I know is that it's so worth it. It's a journey that's extremely empowering.
Mm-hmm.
It's a journey that teaches you about yourself, but it teaches you also about others.
Yes.
And it teaches you who you want to be, who you don't want.
Yes.
All this you need to learn. And each person has their journey and their track and how long it's going to take. For some, it happens right away. For others, it takes longer. But I have learned also that I was comfortable not looking at other people's path. Because for a long time, they had asked me, why have you not done your own yet? I wasn't ready.
Yes.
But I'm happy that I took the steps that I was supposed to take when I became ready, and I found the strength in me to do what it took to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. 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 So, you said so I have goosebumps, but it's so true. And you just said something, to be uncomfortable and also uncomfortable to remove those who do not belong in your space anymore, right? I mean,
Yes.
that's another piece to that, right? And that could be daunting, that could be hard, but sometimes that also needs to happen. It's like you kind of remove the band-aid at times too.
But you feel so good after you.
It's liberating.
I feel like, oh,
Because for
hard
every
after all.
for every time you remove,
Yeah,
so many come in, and you,
yeah,
you, you have 10 more showing up that belong. So
absolutely. And you know what? The more you surround yourself with positive energy, because I truly believe that all of us, we have around us the people who are supposed to be there to walk alongside you throughout your journey. You just have to recognize who they are.
yes,
But what I noticed also is that happiness, for me, I don't know for everybody, but for me, happiness is extremely important. And happiness not only for me, but for those around me. Like my staff, for example. I don't want my staff to work at my clinic being stressed out and unhappy. If I have an unhappy staff, how can they make my patients happy? If I don't treat them right, how do I want them to treat the patients right? So it starts from the top, the culture that you want to put in your workplace. And my culture is a culture of happiness, because if you're happy, doing what I'm doing is hard enough, that if I'm not happy, how can I do it to the best of my capacity? So I'm happy to come to work. We have created an environment at Prima where we are happy, the patients are happy, and we bring competence and compassion in an environment where we don't feel that we have to copy other places. We just want to be a little home for health for the people who recognize that this is the quality of care that they want to have, for their health. Now, that being said, when you're happy doing what you're doing, it makes it so much easier. And then you don't realize it, a bunch of positive things start coming your way because you attract what's positive. You're
Yes.
happy, you smiley. People can feel it's almost, you know,
Just
physical. That,
so, how do you, having said, how do you think that ways in which one could start breaking gender bias? What are your thoughts?
already knowing that it exists,
Okay.
okay, acknowledging it is great. Now we have to address it, and you don't have to address it all the time in big ways. It can be a bunch of different little things, like for example, like I told you at the beginning, we have to advocate for ourselves, you know, because if you're not able to say, okay, this is what I'm worth, this is what I expect, you don't advocate for yourself, nobody's going to advocate really for you. And when you recognize it, then you can address it, or you can decide to ignore it if that's what you want. But just knowing that it's there puts you already at an advantage. And then I feel also that no matter what, it has existed for a very long time. I don't think that just these little things are going to make it disappear, but I feel that there are things that we can do to put ourselves at a different level. And I feel that, you know, if you're somebody who likes to educate yourself, if you know you have a good education and you have good degrees, your degrees will speak for themselves too. It makes it easier for you to be better respected. And you know, um because for example, I mean, I'm a black woman, I come from Haiti, so not only bias against women, but bias against a woman coming from a third world country. So I have 4 children. You know, when I started my residency training, even one of the attendings, she does not know that, you know, it was reported to us after, but when she heard about me having children, you know, what are we gonna do with a woman who already has 4 children?
Yes,
You
yes,
know, and she was a woman herself.
yes, yes.
But so yes, you know, you can better educate yourself, have a better degree. So as I was saying, I'm a Haitian physician and I have children. So I wanted to make sure that I kept, for example, my board certification that makes me a diplomat of my academy. And you know, it's a great honor to be a diplomat of your academy of medicine, of family, you know, family medicine. And I feel that it empowers you even more when you can, you know, have yourself who you are being backed up by competence. And
Man,
for me, it was good, you know, to be able to be a Haitian decent physician in the United States who's a diplomat of an American academy. So,
that's
um,
beautiful. No, you're right. You're right. So definitely, what I'm getting from that is not only, you definitely learn to use your voice. It's empowering. Know when to actually address it, and also the importance of education and having something to support that because it does set you apart.
yes.
And
And
especially,
also, what I did not say is that I find it even more empowering to be able to empower others. So you don't keep it to yourself. When you're able to empower others, it brings you up even more. So I don't really understand the culture of bullying, of not wanting others to achieve, because it's there also, you know, in the healthcare world that I'm living in. There's a lot of bullying towards some female physicians. Actually, a friend of mine sent me an article that another female physician had sent to her about how we women physicians are bullied in our workplace, even by patients. You know, things they would not do to a male physician, you know, they think that they're entitled to do it to you. But, you know, what you can do also, and we can all empower each other, because the ones the ones that are succeeding, it's not because they're so much better than the others, it's just because they have fallen much more often, but they have decided to stand back up and to continue. And they have also decided that, you know what, nobody said it was going to be easy, but because it's worth it, let me continue until it happens. Because at the end of the day, when you achieve your success or where you want to go, nobody's going to look at, there's nothing written on your forehead, it took her 20 years, or it, you know, it just
What matters is that you're there.
yeah. If you fall on the way, you just fall forward to success.
Yes, yes. And that's the mindset. That's a mindset. I mean, I thank you so much for taking your time, because I know your practice is a becoming practice. You're very busy, but I really am, it humbles me to have you here. And I really am thankful that you took the time to show up and really participate in this summit with us and share your wisdom and your experiences, so that others can be as inspired to to learn and grow and take action in their lives. So thank you so much. This was wonderful.
It
And
was
we've said in others panels, we all, it's funny how all the women that we had conversation with, it comes down to create space on the table and bring somebody up with you and let them sit at the table with you. And at the end of the day, this is what it's all about. It's about making space, bring somebody up with you and give them an opportunity to actually achieve what they are destined to achieve as well. So thank you so much, Dr. Said, for participating and joining us in this wonderful summit. And I look forward for many more opportunities to get in conversations.
great pleasure, Rachel. Thank you for having me, and thank you for introducing Prima to your community. This is Prima Health Center. It's located in North Miami Beach. The address is 125 Northeast, 167th Street in North Miami Beach. And the phone number to call the office if you're interested is 305 217 7462. So 305 217 7462. Again, thank you for having me.
Great. Beautiful, family oriented patient care facility that if you're seeking a space to start getting some care, Prima is the way to go. Thank you.
And just like that, the summit is over. But guess what? Your journey with us, Caribbean Women Collective, is not. And so I just want to personally say thank you for joining this event. And we are so appreciative of you joining us.
And we hope that this event inspired you, motivated you, and empowered you. Don't forget, we're going to be sharing a link with you so that you can stay tuned on all the events that we have coming up for you this year and next. So click on the link to register and stay connected with us.
And once again, thank you for showing up, because without you, this event would not have been possible. So we really appreciate your coming in, taking the time and pouring into yourself. And we encourage you to continue in the path of being motivated, inspired, and empowered to take action in your life. So we look forward to having you next year once more with us as we bring more excitement for you in our next conference. Having said that, and sticking with our theme of International Women's Month 2022, let us break the bias.
Let's
break the bias.